Picture this. You're caught in a sudden summer downpour. You make a mad dash for cover, maybe you're a little annoyed, your shoes got wet, and then you just totally forget about it the second the sun peeks back out. But what if that everyday comfort was just suddenly ripped away? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a truly terrifying thought experiment. What if it never ever rained again?
Seriously, imagine if all precipitation, we're talking rain, snow, sleet, ice crystals, the whole shebang, just completely vanished from our lives forever. Nothing but a bone-dry sky. On a planetary scale, man, this isn't just some weird weather anomaly. It's a fast-track, one-way ticket to absolute global catastrophe.
So how does this all go down? Well, the culprit would be the total breakdown of Earth's engine, the water cycle. You know how it works. Moisture evaporates from the oceans, condenses up there into clouds, and then falls right back down as purified rain. It's brilliant. But if you break this one single continuous cycle, literally everything that relies on it begins to unravel almost immediately.
And when I say unravel, I mean a brutal, rapid-fire domino effect of extinction. Step 1. The heavy water drinkers. Plants like silkgrass, they'd completely wither and perish within a single week. Which brings us right to step 2, the herbivores. Without that plant cover, they starve. The entire food chain basically shatters. And then, step 3, the predators fall shortly after. In the blink of an eye, humans are left staring at a world with virtually no natural food sources.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hey, we've got the oceans. We'll just desalinate the water, right? Well, not quite. See, oceans aren't endless. Every single year, roughly 577,000 cubic kilometers of water evaporates. To put that into perspective, even if humans didn't consume a single drop of it, without rain to refill the basin, our mighty oceans would completely vanish in roughly 2,500 years. Gone. And honestly, the countdown timer only gets more grim from there. 2,000 years. That's the magic number for our air. Once the plants die off, photosynthesis grinds to a dead halt. The remaining oxygen currently floating around in our atmosphere, it would only sustain life for another 2 millennia.
But here's the kicker. Long before we ever suffocated, we would literally bake. Right now, tree leaves and grasses create this massive, invisible microclimate that actually cools the Earth. Once you strip all that away, average annual temperatures could spike by an absolutely wild 36 degrees Celsius. That's a massive jump, and that heat would just rapidly accelerate the evaporation of whatever precious little water we actually had left.
Which brings us to the harsh reality of the human limit. 3 days. That is generally how long the average person can hold out without water. But dehydration isn't the only killer we'd be facing. As our reservoirs dry up to dust, basic hygiene just plummets. Diseases would spread like wildfire, and treating them nearly impossible. Because manufacturing modern medicines actually requires massive amounts of water.
Oh, and the chaos wouldn't just be biological. It would be completely technological too. Our traditional power grids would instantly collapse. Hydroelectric turbines would just sit there, frozen. Nuclear reactors would have absolutely nothing to cool them down, which, leads straight to catastrophic meltdowns. Factories shut down, satellite communications die, and our cities would literally drown in total darkness every night. We would be completely forced to rely on wind, solar, and geothermal power.
Now, geothermal is actually fascinating here. We're sitting on roughly 840 billion watts of readily available geothermal energy. That's more than enough to power all of humanity around the clock. But there's a fatal flaw. Building the complex factories and massive deep earth drills required to harness it, that takes decades. In a sudden, catastrophic worldwide drought where every single second counts, we simply wouldn't have the time to build the massive infrastructure before society completely collapsed.
So driven from the scorching, dehydrated surface, we'd be looking at humanity's absolute last resort. A tiny fraction of the population might survive by frantically building sealed artificial domes, or maybe retreating deep into underground cities where the temperatures are stable and they're safe from massive dust storms. But if we didn't build them in time, the surface would be completely wiped of human life.
So who actually inherits the Earth in this scenario? Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be us. It would be extremophiles. These are incredibly hardy, microscopic survivors, bacteria that can adapt to unbearable heat, a total lack of sunlight, and zero water. Some of them can happily survive and reproduce on a steady diet of pure carbon dioxide. They'd be the undisputed ultimate survivors of our giant dry rock.
All right, let's take a breath. You might be wondering, so what's the deal with all this dystopian fantasy? Why map out some massive sci-fi doomsday scenario about magic clouds disappearing? Well, the hard truth is,
We aren't modeling this theoretical situation just for fun.
Which brings us to part 1, the real crisis. Irreversible ecological change.
See, we don't actually need some magical disappearance of rain to face a catastrophe, because we are actively sabotaging the water cycle ourselves right now. We're talking unprecedented global deforestation, skyrocketing carbon dioxide, massive atmospheric pollution, and severe water contamination. Just look at places like the Curonian Spit. Because of relentless deforestation, what was once a vibrant, thriving ecosystem is actively turning into a desert right before our eyes. And the sheer pace of this deforestation is staggering. Official data from the early 21st century shows that our Earth was losing about 6 million hectares of forest every single year. Let that sink in. We are quite literally chopping down the very microclimate that keeps our planet cool and keeps our vital water cycle functioning. But wait, it gets worse. That 6 million hectares figure? That's just what governments officially report. It completely ignores a massive, sprawling shadow industry. Experts estimate that a wild 80% of logging in Peru and 42% in Colombia is entirely illegal. And the data for the vast Brazilian Amazon? It's full of massive gaps. The destruction is happening far, far faster than official sources want to admit.
And as we systematically destroy the cycle, our human demand for whatever water remains just continues to skyrocket. Right now, as we speak, every single inhabitant of Earth uses about 750 square meters of fresh water annually. That is our current baseline, the bare minimum for survival, basic hygiene, and running our global industry.
But you really need to check out this chilling forecast. By the year 2050, that's 750 square meters of fresh water per person. It's projected to be cut exactly in half. The fallout from that is genuinely terrifying. By 2050, up to 80% of the world's countries will suffer from a severe shortage of fresh water. Only 20% will actually have enough to get by. This is an imminent global emergency. It's already happening. By 2020, climate change had already pushed millions of people in Africa into severe water shortages. Fast forward to 2030, and a projected 5 billion people, that's 67% of humanity, will live without satisfactory water treatment. And then 2050 hits, and our global freshwater supply is literally slashed in half.
If we just sit back and do nothing, our planet slowly becomes a wasteland. Mankind will find itself mired in brutal conflicts over whatever tiny puddles of water are left. To stop this, we have to act yesterday. We must immediately halt massive deforestation, start treating water like the finite, precious treasure it actually is, and heavily invest in eco-friendly technology.
We really don't need to fear the sudden magical disappearance of rain. What we need to fear are our own actions. Which leaves us with one final, urgent question to reflect on today. Will we entirely reconsider our role in this delicate ecosystem? Or will we just continue behaving like parasites until the well runs completely dry? Thank you so much for watching this explainer. If this changed how you see the world outside your window, let us know, and I'll catch you in the next